What if the Ottoman Empire still existed today? For more than 600 years, the Ottoman Empire was one of the most powerful forces on Earth. It ruled vast lands across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. It controlled trade routes, shaped religion and culture, and influenced world politics for centuries. But in the early 20th century, the empire collapsed. Now imagine something different. What if the Ottoman Empire never fell? What if it survived and still existed today? How would the world look? To answer this, we must first understand what the Ottoman Empire truly was. The Ottoman Empire. At its height, at its peak, the Ottoman Empire stretched from modern-day Hungary to Yemen. It included Turkey, Greece, the Balkans, the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Eastern Europe. It ruled over Christians, Muslims, and Jews, different languages, different cultures. And yet, it functioned as one political system. The Ottomans were not just conquerors, they were administrators. They built roads, bridges, hospitals, schools. They created a legal system that allowed different religions to govern their own communities. This system was called the millet system. It gave the empire stability in a diverse world. Now, imagine this empire never collapsed. Why the Ottoman Empire fell? To imagine it surviving, we must understand why it fell. The Ottoman Empire faced many problems: corruption, economic decline, outdated military systems, pressure from European powers, industrialization passed it by. Nationalism rose within its borders. World War I was the final blow. After defeat, the empire was dismantled. Modern Turkey emerged. The Middle East was divided by foreign powers. Now, imagine this never happened. Imagine reform instead of collapse. A reformed Ottoman Empire. If the Ottomans survived, they would have to modernize. The empire could transform into a constitutional monarchy or a federal system. Local regions could gain autonomy while remaining united. Technology and industry would be embraced, the military modernized. Education expanded. This would not be an empire ruled by sultans alone. It would be a modern superstate. How the Middle East would change. One of the biggest differences would be the Middle East. Many modern conflicts exist because of artificial borders drawn after World War I. If the Ottoman Empire survived, those borders would never exist. There would be no Iraq as we know it, no Syria as we know it, no Saudi Arabia as we know it. Instead, these regions would exist inside one political structure. Ethnic and religious tensions would still exist, but they would be managed internally, not manipulated by foreign powers. Many modern wars might never happen. Israel and Palestine. One of the biggest questions is Israel and Palestine. If the Ottoman Empire still existed, the region would never be colonized by Britain. The Balfour Declaration would never exist. Jewish migration might still happen, but under Ottoman law. A different political solution could emerge. Perhaps autonomy, perhaps shared governance. Conflict might still exist, but the timeline would change dramatically. Europe without the Ottoman collapse. Europe would look different too. The Balkans were once Ottoman lands. Without collapse, nationalist wars in the Balkans might be avoided or delayed. World War I itself might unfold differently. The Ottoman Empire played a key role in that war. If it survived stronger, global alliances would shift. Europe might not dominate global politics as long. The Cold War would change. If the Ottoman Empire survived into the 20th century, the Cold War would look very different. Instead of a world dominated by the United States and the Soviet Union, there would be a third major power. The Ottoman Empire would control key geographic regions, trade routes, energy supplies, access between Europe and Asia. This could prevent a strictly bipolar world. The empire could act as a balancing force. Some conflicts might cool down, others might escalate. Islam and the modern world. The Ottoman Sultan was also the Caliph. This gave the empire religious authority in the Muslim world. If the empire survived, the role of political Islam would be very different. There might be less fragmentation, less radicalization. Many extremist movements emerged from chaos and power vacuums. A stable Ottoman authority could prevent that vacuum. Religion would still evolve, but under a centralized system, culture and identity. A surviving Ottoman Empire would shape culture deeply. Language would evolve differently. Turkish, Arabic, Greek, and Balkan cultures would remain interconnected. Migration patterns would change. Cities like Istanbul, Damascus, Cairo, and Baghdad would remain part of one civilization. Cultural exchange would be constant. Economics and trade. Economically, a modern Ottoman Empire would be extremely powerful. It would control major energy resources, trade routes, ports. Europe would rely on it. Asia would rely on it. Global trade would flow through Ottoman territory. This could reduce Western dominance in global finance. The empire might rival the United States and China today. Technology and modernization. If the empire embraced modernization early, technology would flourish. Universities, research centers, industrial hubs. The Ottoman Empire could become a technological leader bridging East and West. Its geographic position would give it unmatched advantage. Would it be a peaceful world? Here is the hard truth. Even if the Ottoman Empire survived, the world would not be perfect. Power struggles would continue. Internal tensions would exist. Empires do not remove conflict, they reshape it. Some groups would resist control. Others would demand independence. But many conflicts created by collapse might never exist. What this scenario teaches us: the fall of the Ottoman Empire created dozens of modern problems. Borders drawn without understanding, power vacuums, foreign interference. A surviving empire could prevent many of these, but it could also delay freedom for some groups. History is trade-offs. Final question. So what if the Ottoman Empire still existed today? The Middle East would be more unified. Europe would be less dominant. Global power would be more balanced. Some wars would vanish. Others would change form. The modern world would feel less fragmented but more centralized. And most importantly, history would remind us of one truth. When empires fall, the world does not become free. It becomes unstable. And stability, like freedom, always comes at a price.